I see the light inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go?
Wanna change the world, there's nothing to it. Alright, in case there's any confusion, if Professor Tarek Haux is doing the homework assignments, look what I made. Look at this. Imagine you received a capybara wallpapered letter in the mail with "We're all gonna make it." I don't know if you can read it. "We're all gonna make it." A wax seal, and then Ratlife. Can you imagine if that came in the mail for you? Wow. So that was one of the homework assignments, if you recall. It was to send a handwritten letter. Do you know what another homework assignment was? It came from the book, The Four Agreements. It was "Don't take things personally." Do you know who the recipient of this letter is? Someone who currently has me blocked on social media. That is the epitome of "don't take things personally," or a precursor to a restraining order. Hi-oh! We can move on. All right. So I wanted to start the lecture by saying, number one, don't take things personally. Let's recap from semester one at the end of it. Number two, don't forget to do your homework assignments each week and write your capybara handwritten letters. And number three, welcome to class. Welcome to, this is book number 9 of the university. Do you see that whiteboard on my wall? Do you know how many numbers there are? There's 1,000. This is a 1,000 book quest of a university. And it sounds like a lot, and it is. A book a week, 1,000 books are done in about just over 20 years. But the library itself would be a smaller bookshelf than the width from that wall to that outdoor patio area, balcony. It would literally be this size. That's how many 1,000 books is. Now the question is, not about what you get, but who do you become as a result of such a quest? And it ties into the book that we're going to discuss today, The Alchemist. This has to be one of my favorite books of all time, ever written, that I've ever read. I love the format of it because there's so many, it's all parables, so it's all metaphor. So all of it ties into, it's probably the best entrepreneurship book that's ever been written. Just in regards to escaping the rat life. And one of the most beautiful analogies that he opens with in this book, young Santiago, who's the character, but Paulo, the Brazilian author, is Santiago's a shepherd and he's tending to his sheep. And it's the equivalent of working a rat life, working a 9-to-5, working in the rat life. And he looks at the sheep and he's like, they get up when I get up and they've really got accustomed to my schedule. And then in italics, it's like, or maybe I've gotten accustomed to their schedule. Interesting. Then it talks about how he's looking at his sheep and all they're concerned about is food and water. Like the typical person who goes and works a 9-to-5. They're content with the scraps, with the bare minimum, with living paycheck to paycheck, just so long as they have a place to live, a warm hearth, and dinner. Then they're content forfeiting all of their goals, all of their dreams, all of their ambitions, their personal legend, as they call it in this book, to live a life where you forfeit all of your uniqueness, all of your value, all of your what makes you special, to conform in a society where you just die like every fucking one else. And he looks at his sheep and he says, if I wanted to, I could kill them at any time. If I wanted to, they're so generous. They give me their wool, they give me their company, and if I wanted it, they would even give me their meat. And I had this conversation with my mom yesterday while we were driving. She's visiting. And I said, the job that you're killing yourself over would replace you within a week if you drop dead. They don't give a fuck about you. You are a number on a screen. And it is so true. It is so true. And people tie in so much significance to a made-up title that they have within the confines of an office. Garbage. And when we're discussing this about things that actually matter, it makes me reflect on the past 2 weeks where I've been in and out of urgent care, I've been in and out of my primary care physician, I've been in and out of a cardiologist, and I've been in and out of the ER 3 times. For heart palpitations that were getting progressively worse, to my heart seizing up, to me thinking I'm gonna have a heart attack, or heart failure, or whatever from this first degree AV block, etc., etc., etc. And I feel like now I'm on the mend, and a lot of the symptoms that I'm feeling are triggered by thought at this point, I think. But I could be wrong. There could be more underlying issues. I have some searing pain in the back of my neck, which one of my doctors from my primary care said it could be a blocked artery in the sense of blood isn't coming through its normal channel, something like that. And I don't know if it's a cholesterol issue, because I think the echocardiogram that they did can't actually see if there's cholesterol buildup, because I go and they say your cholesterol's fine, your heart rate is pumping fine, the pumping is fine, the size is fine, all this, but it's like, no, it's something still feels off. So I'm trying to get that taken care of, discerned. I'm trying to, clear that up. But I've been in very, very heavy reflection the past 2 weeks. What if I did die, right? And that was the beauty of writing this letter that I have right here in the capybara wallpaper, is I want to make sure that I've told everyone how I feel about them. Everyone, and absent this person, I'm pretty caught up. Everyone who I care about knows I care about them, knows I love them, knows how important they are to me. At least I try to do my best to communicate that. And I asked myself, and I wrote this in that letter, contemplating death the past couple weeks, I was like, if I was going to die, or why am I afraid of dying? And first and foremost is this work, right? Is the unfinished work of Ratlife. And I said the other thing is, I really dream to experience what it's like to be in love with someone who's also in love with you. I've yet to experience that before. I've fallen for one person, but it wasn't reciprocated. And I think, if not, I'm sure, I've had people who have fallen for me who it wasn't reciprocated on my end. I've never had that sweet spot where both the worlds collide and, you're in that sync. You're both in love together. And I said I would really, really enjoy experiencing that before I die. But absent those two things, which ties back to the book of the things that actually matter, not your stupid fucking job, is it's important to understand that when the dust settles and all the bullshit subsides, nothing matters more than your why at the end of the day. And that's a why, a cause greater than yourself, period. Because if it was just you, who cares? You would hit snooze on the alarm, you wouldn't show up on the days that you don't want to, you wouldn't do anything above and beyond. It's only when something or someone is relying on you to show up, to do the work, to level up, that you have a purpose to live beyond yourself. And within my reflections, and within this book, and within all the experiences that I've been enduring the past couple weeks, I even ended that letter saying, I'm quite content to die. knowing that I'm in the pursuit of my goal and my vision and my dream and my personal legend. And I think it's a shame that most people, it takes tragedy, and it took it for me to write this letter, but it takes tragedy for people to harbor gratitude or appreciation or grace, whether that's grace afforded to someone else for their mistakes or to yourself for your shortcomings, flaws, errors, mistakes. And most people, they go their entire life justifying and rationalizing why it's okay that they don't pursue their goal, and they'll make excuses, and the worst part is when they justify it. That's the worst. And worse still is when they feel the need to sell their bullshit to someone else. I've had that happen all the time for me, where it's not enough for one person to believe their lie, but they have to sell you on it. Like they're trying to make sense of their bullshit story for themselves. And the only way that they can is your validation. You validating that, yes, your bullshit story is plausible. Sure. And the greatest gift you can give people is straight up ignoring them, giving them zero validation, or telling them to go fuck off. Because you coddling them or validating their excuses or their fears or their limiting beliefs or their insecurities, you do them the biggest disservice. That is the true crime. But the one who, and I'm speaking for myself, who ends up getting the most amount of resentment is the one who's actually giving them the greatest gift, who actually cares about them the most. Because if I loved you, I would hold you to a higher standard. If I loved you, I wouldn't let you bullshit and talk your way out of the story or the situation or of your feelings or of your fears or of your insecurities or, forfeiting accountability for your actions or your projection or for your neglect or for what have you. So the beauty about this book is it breaks apart the fears of pursuing your goal, pursuing your adventure of a lifetime, And I see people doing the same shit. Everyone I know, it's the same fucking blueprint. Is they do nothing, they settle for their partner, they have kids, it ends typically in a divorce. And I'm seeing it as I'm turning soon to be 29. I see this shit on loop. I'm not seeing anyone pursue their goals. I'm not seeing anyone fucking go for it. Because what does that take? Courage. And that's in the credo of Ratlife. Starts with belief in the courage to pursue. What I love about this book the most is, and I wish I got, this is one of the books I wish I could read again for the first time because it's magical. I read this book for the first time when I was in Macedonia. And it was at the very, very start. That was the second country at the start of my 6-month Euro trip. And it could not have been better timing because I had just quit my job, I sold my car, I cashed out my retirement, and I booked a one-way flight to Europe. I went all in on my dream. And I read this book while I was in Macedonia, and I fucked up in the sense of I gave it away to the dude who was running the hostel, the biggest cynic, the worst person to give my gift of a book to, which I wish I had all the originals because I write my notes in them. But since then, I've gifted these books to people that have meant a lot to me. And then I just rebuy them. But when I was reading it for the first time, it was so cool because while Santiago's going on his adventure to find his treasure, I was just embarking on the adventure of a lifetime because I didn't know when I was going to come back. I thought it was a one-way ticket in perpetuity with no return. And it was an adventure, and it was so fun, and it was so cool, and it was some of the best moments of my life. Like when I do my meditation, which was one of the homework assignments from one of the earlier books, there are certain moments from my travels that I get to relive, and I could just close my eyes and I could just take myself there. And it's such a beautiful gift for multiple reasons. Number one, it keeps the memory of that person alive because that's ever fading. And number two, it allows me to effortlessly embody a state of gratitude whenever I want to, just by being present and thinking about whatever memory. And what's so cool about this book is you're going to get a recurring theme in a lot of the personal development books that we're going to read in this university. It ties in with Acres of Diamonds, as in, not to spoil the book, but at the end of it, you realize you had all of the treasure before you even began the journey. And it's interesting because every person who's ever succeeded has always said that same line. I watched a video the other day, before I deleted social media, of the owner of Airbnb who was like, and he said it so beautifully, and I'm so glad he did, because this is the guy, owner now of had like $100 billion valuation of the company, or market cap, but probably $1 billion company, if not more. And he was like, it felt like a journey where I had to go all the way over here just to realize that the best things about my life I already had before I embarked on the journey. And then celebrities will always say the same thing. They're just like, you're gonna find at the end of your fame and success, it's none of that shit, makes you happy. And then what actually matters and what actually makes you happy is XYZ. And when I went on my journey the first time, when I was able to escape the Ratlife the first time, my favorite things about traveling was going to different gyms in different countries. That was at the top of the list. The second top of the list was being genuinely interested in other people, regardless of their political disposition, sexuality, orientation, where they're from, anything. I genuinely was very interested to understand, or try to understand, why they think the way that they think. And I was just fascinated by it. And as a result, you get so much love from other people because you fill them with so much confidence, reassurance, comfortability being themselves, comfortable in their own skin. And so you bring the best out of them. And in turn, I've gotten the most love from anyone in my life from the people who I've met traveling, without a doubt. However, those people are people, the vast majority, that I would never be friends with back home. And the reason is because while it's fascinating to learn and to understand, to gain different perspectives, when I'm in my day-to-day growth phase, the grind, I don't curate my surroundings with victims. I don't curate my surroundings with people who don't delay gratification, who don't have mental fortitude, who are very, you'll learn this when you travel, that the most open-minded people, typically the irony is they're the most closed-minded, because everyone's quite friendly and open-minded in terms of their, say, sexual freedom, but until you actually talk about issues and topics and stances that are in disagreement with others, you'll find out very quickly how ignorant a lot of people are. But you just have to go back to that beautiful quote that we'll get into in, I believe it's How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I have right here. Ooh. I have a mini bookshelf right here. And it's a story from Abraham Lincoln where he writes a letter of praise to one of the Confederate officers, and one of the members of his cabinet scolds him for it. And he says, how could you say that? How could you give that man praise when he is everything you stand to fight against? How can you? How could you? And I've shared this story many times, but Abraham Lincoln, with all of his wisdom, with all of his humility, he said, under similar circumstances, you and I would be no different. And I've always had that lens when I travel. Had I been born where you were born, had I had the same education, had I had the same stupid friends, had I had the same programming, the same news, the same everything, not only would I believe what you believe, I would be just as passionate about your belief systems. That's why it ties into the book that we just finished with in semester 1, in one of the agreements. Don't take things personally. The other day when I told you in that video where I had that guy try to save me to his Lord and Savior out of nowhere, I didn't take it personally because I posed the hypothetical to myself. If your entire life you were conditioned in the belief system that that was your duty and obligation, then you might be inclined to feel the need to push that envelope and agenda onto somebody else. That's the importance of the university in the tenet, stand guard at the doorway of your mind. And the whole map of the university, of this book, The Alchemist, is to think for yourself. I'm never going to tell you what to do, what to say, what to think. It's all food for thought. Because at the end of the day, the beauty about this university is because it's founded on principle and on truth, it is going to stand the test of time. Because all of the fads and all of the trends and all of the bullshit and all of the distractions will die. They will subside. I was sharing this with my mom yesterday, not to get off topic, but it ties in. And I told her, do you know what the generational cycle is? And she said, no, what's that? I said, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. And I said, this past generation has been the biggest generation of pussies I've ever seen. People who are very concerned about their fucking pronouns, who are confused about genders, who get triggered by the truth. The biggest generation of cowardice, of a complete omission of mental fortitude, the most physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually weak people ever. As a result, we're about to enter very, very hard times. And that's what I'm sharing with my mom. And that's going to be hard financial times. There's a good Heath Ledger clip from The Dark Knight, and he's like, these people are all fun and they're all kumbaya, but when the chips are down, you'll see their true colors. People that he said they'll eat each other. And it's so true. If you take just fucking 2 years ago when COVID happened, all of these people were just all about their own self-interest. I saw people on video do fights over fucking toilet paper and shit like that in the grocery stores. And you find out very quickly, no one gives a fuck about other people too far beyond their own kin. And you have to be mentally prepared for that war to come. As in, you need to be, or I hope anyone in this university would strive to be, a leader amongst leaders. The person that others look for to lead the fight to come. Wouldn't you believe it? My battery died. But anyway, the whole point that I'm trying to get at in this lovely, lovely book is it makes you very cognizant of the rat life. It makes you, with everything that's been going on with my health, with reading this book, it makes you really get to sit into and think on and reflect on what actually matters within your life. The people that actually matter, and your actions that you're doing on a daily basis. Because while the first time I read this book, I escaped the rat life the first time, what I'm working on right now is to escape forever. And so all of the work and preparation that I'm doing is so that I never have to go back to a fucking job, which the book describes extremely well. And he says, you can always go back to being a shepherd. As hard as their journey got, as hard as his quest was, through the failure, through the getting robbed, through getting beat up, through losing it all multiple times, through heartbreak, through loss, through loneliness, through despair, defeat, tragedy, you could always go back to being a fucking slave. Your worst case scenario should be your worst case scenario is other people's normal, man. Other people's fucking plan A should be your worst case scenario. And that's why I had no fear to quit my job and travel the world. I was like, I can always go back to a life of slavery. I can always go back to a fucking 9-to-5, trading my time for pieces of paper that they can print infinitely of, an infinite amount of. And now that I'm a return to the rat life, I have superpowers that I otherwise wouldn't. It's kind of like if you've ever seen The Matrix, where they give Neo the red pill and then he goes back, plugs himself back in, and he's able to see the world differently. Prior to quitting my job, I didn't understand how quickly I could accelerate the progression of the rat life and take advantage of it like I'm doing now. As in, I'm very close to getting I'm one job interview away from getting my north of 6-figure income. And that will have been in just a 1-year span, from no job to 6 figures. If you were to work the rat life, the time it would take you to climb to a promotion, to a promotion, to a promotion, that inflation is outpacing, it's wasted years. And so I'm not looking for a lifetime of slavery. And I told this to my mom. I said, I refuse to live my one existence as a fucking slave, as working a 9 to 5 for someone else. I said, that is so selfish to the people I say I care about. I can't imagine doing that. Knowing my potential, how in the fuck could I justify and rationalize my value and my potential for this? For the fucking bare minimum, for the scraps amongst sheep. And so, not to be all negative Nelly, but that was one of the things that I wanted to share with the most within this book, is you can always go back to working and being surrounded by sheep. I have to deal with it every day when I go into the office, surrounded by fucking idiots, clowns, people who make stupid ass jokes. You have to be a fucking courtier. You have to be a jester. You have to bend the knee. When you know how resourceful you become by going all in, by starting your business, by knowing what real stress is, whether that's stress of an impending heart attack, heart failure, whether that's the stress of living in your car for 93 days, whether that's the stress of doing entrepreneurship, running your own business, and not knowing, where your next meal is going to come from, when rent is on the line every month. Like, when you have that kind of mental fortitude and work ethic and discipline and resourcefulness and resolve, going back to a fucking 9 to 5 surrounded by people who gets their cortisol raised from fucking emails, dude, it's a joke. It really is. And so your success is just inevitable when you go back to that environment. When you're a killer, right? When you've been in the arena and you go back to PvE, is the best way I can describe it. If you've ever played a video game and you've done campaign mode where the mechanics are the same every single time, that's what a job is. It's the same boss, it's the same fight, and all you have to do is do the same thing. Don't stand in the green shit, don't stand in the fire, and it's the exact same thing. Versus when you're actually in the arena, then you're playing against other players, and so now it's a real war. Now it's a real battle. Now you really find out what you're made of. Any athlete knows that when they're competing against somebody else. But the 9 to 5 is the biggest joke. It really is. And they really harp on this within this book. What stops people from pursuing their goal, their dream, their vision, their purpose, their personal legend is fear. You give more of a fuck about what your peers think, about what your family thinks, about what your coworkers think, when they don't give a fuck about you to begin with. They don't think about you at all. Because they're too busy, too concerned and worried about themselves. And so the great confidence that you get from reading a book like this is you have nothing to lose by going for it ever. Ever. You can always go back to working the Ratlife. You can always go back to your 9 to 5. You can always return to a life of perpetual slavery. But I'm going to share with you that if you do not have a plan to escape your Ratlife, whatever that is, whether that's a shitty relationship, whether that's an income that you're disgusted by, a physique that you can't even look at yourself in the mirror and smile at, if you don't have a plan, you're going to be used by someone else as a part of their fucking plan. That is a quote straight from Greg Plitt, who passed away in 2015. And it is very, very true. I know so many people who presume to be filled with autonomy of thought, but they're so programmed. They don't think for themselves. They're being emotionally manipulated. And they can't even see it, man, because they're so programmed. They're so dug in. They're so slave-minded. And it's a quote from the 48 Laws of Power. I allow manipulation from my enemy to take me where he wants me to go. And then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrator. Most people don't use their mind. That's why people love the job as well. I had this epiphany one time when I was on mushrooms, actually. And I had the insight that people love not to think. They love to turn their brain off. They love to just be told what to do. And you get that in plethora when you work a 9 to 5, when you don't have to make a fucking decision. When you just do this, do this, do this, you just get to go on cruise control. But that's exactly how you begin to die. And you forfeit all of your resourcefulness. You forfeit all of your uniqueness. You forfeit all of what makes you special and one of a kind. So the best thing that I can say in regards to this book, the biggest takeaway before I get into my notes, is you have nothing to lose by going for it ever. And your biggest regret at time's end is going to be you looking back when that window of opportunity that you have right now closes and you wish you could have, you would have. And you have to just have the biggest agonizing burden, which is regret and what if. And any old person that I've ever talked to, they never beat themselves up over their failures, ever. It's always the woman they did not go up to, that they did not talk to, that they did not say how they felt about them because they were too much of a pussy, because they were too much of a coward to have the courage to pursue, regardless of the endeavor, whether that's a person, a woman, a relationship, whether that's a business that you want to start with, that's you booking that flight and traveling the world, or whatever it is that your dream, goal, ambition, purpose, personal legend, vision is. There's no reward for cowardice. You get nothing, dude. You lose. And I mean, we can all front, we can all kid, we can all bullshit, we can all say that we're stoked in the place that we're at and whatever made up fucking title that we have. But the fact is, you quit. You gave up. And then, and I've said this so many times, and what always, I can't, it's a mental gap I can't bridge. How the fuck could I look at my son in his eyes and explain to him why it was okay that I gave up? Why it was okay that I quit? And then, to go one step further, how could I ever ask him not to? What hypocrisy is that, right? How can I ask them not to be a coward or a pussy when I stand one, right? So, within this book, any person who I've recommended it to, any person who I've gifted it to, it's always, I feel like, inspired people to go for it because they understand you have one life, you're gonna die, you have nothing to lose, right? And what's really risky isn't the pursuit. It's inaction. It's neglect. It's you doing what you hate to do day in and day out that is slowly killing you. And you feel it and you know it. Any person who's watching this, they can resonate with that. You know when you're working a job that is slowly draining the life out of you. And you know that you're just days away from turning to a bottle, turning to a substance, using some means as an escape versus being very maniacal and meticulous about planning your escape, dude. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And the fact that I've escaped the rat life once and I was able to, piece together, okay, this is how the cost is going to be, these are the consequences, the ramifications, this is all, that you learn. Now I'm trying to piece it together where I'm able to set myself up, my woman up, my family up, my future kids up for freedom forever. Because I'll tell you, man, I had the conversation with my mom yesterday. I said, if you look at modern day education outside of this university, it's the only way to protect your children is financial freedom. That's it. Because if you are reliant on a dual income, as in the husband has to work and the mother has to work, who is raising your children? The school. Who controls the curriculum of the school? The government. And so you have the government programming your children, and then the content that they're consuming programming your children. And so your kids aren't even people of your own values and your own ideologies and your own disciplines in the absence of a mother passing that on to them, who hopefully you've chosen the correct partner who shares your values and your ideologies. And I told this to my mom, I said, the only way to protect your children is to be financially prosperous and to be financially independent of government aid, of a 9-to-5 income. I said, if you don't have that, you're not free. Because as soon as you tell your boss to fuck off or you disagree with this political stance, then your job is threatened and then therefore your livelihood is threatened. And so if you don't have the autonomy of income in the absence of your 9-to-5, that paycheck that people slave for, then you're not free, because you're not free to say what you want to say, you're not free to go where you want to go, to take that vacation that you want to take. I said true freedom is being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, anytime you want, for as long or as little as you want. That's freedom, And so that's the whole premise of Ratlife and the pursuit that I'm trying to courageously embark on and continue to do within the confines of this university, is to escape the rat life and be free forever. I truly, if I were to characterize myself as anyone, it would be Spartacus, because he was the one who led the slave rebellion in antiquity, as in he was a free man who was then enslaved, and then he shared the belief and the ideology amongst people who had only known a life of slavery that no man should die with a Roman boot on their fucking neck, right? That everyone can be born, can live, can die with the taste of freedom forever upon their lips, right? And it's in our Constitution, if you're American, that we are given these unalienable rights, right? These God-given unalienable rights, that amongst which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And as soon as you're working the 9-to-5, man, as soon as you're stuck in the rat life, which is just bills, which is just you buying into FOMO, buying into all this garbage, buying shit with money you don't have, right? Shit that you also don't need to impress people you don't even like. So now you have all of these bills, you have the big four debts, right? You got the mortgage, you got the student loans, you got the car financing, you got the credit cards. You have interest on all this shit, you have insurance on all this shit, and then you have a family, you're fucked. You're trapped. You are a rat for life. And that's exactly how the system is set up. For you to be a slave in a tax bracket, a good docile slave until you die. And I'm getting better at my articulation, and I'm noticing within these videos, primarily because I deleted social media. I deleted Instagram, I deleted TikTok, and so my brain is losing that fog that it once had by the flooding of the dopamine from the fucking scrolling. And it's all done on purpose. And it all ties in with this book of the pursuit of your vision, of your dream, of your goal, amidst a world of fucking perma-distractions. As in, they want you dumb. They want you numb. You know, when you watch the news, you get no emotional movement at all today from murder, 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 murder. You're numb to it. It shouldn't be a normal thing. And I had that instance when there was a school shooter at my campus, and one of the students in one of my classes by one of my amazing archaeology professors who actually let us talk about and discuss it, the student was like, I fucking hate that we're supposed to act like this is normal, and it's not. A dude died on campus, a professor, the other day. And it's interesting how within how they're setting it up, they want you dumb, they want you docile, they want you obedient, they want you afraid to try, to pursue, thinking that you pursuing your goal and dream and vision, ooh, that's risky. But you being a fucking slave for 40 years at a job you hate, bending the fucking knee to a boss you don't respect, coming home to a partner who doesn't fucking love you or trust you or respect you, your life is void of passion, of adventure, of ecstasy, of joy. And that is going to be your one existence. That is going to be your one run at this. At some point, how do you not get filled with rage and anger and just a sense of being fucking infuriated with your circumstances where you're just like, fuck this. If I'm gonna die, I'm not going to do it as a slave, right? So I think that's a good precursor to the book. So now to get into my notes. And I wrote them on my phone, and so I'll just share with you what I wrote on my phone. So I put, what is your personal legend? And I posed that question to myself. What is my personal legend? And it is the total quest of Ratlife, which I believe within this quest is going to be another 12 years and 3 months. Excuse me, within Ratlife, I think within the quest of this, university, I'm going to reach passing book 500 out of my 1,000. And I think the latter 500, or maybe 400, if I make it to book 600, we'll see, depending on how many books I'm able to get through. It's going to come really cool and really full story because the lectures will be shared by my kids. And I think that is going to be the coolest thing ever to wear. And that's going to be the greatest gift I will ever give my children, is a library of books that if you read these books, it'll be the key to your freedom forever. That's what Ratlife is. And I thought about that the other day. And I thought of, there's a scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where Jack Sparrow is describing what the Black Pearl is. And they're on the beach, drinking with Elizabeth. He's drinking with Elizabeth. And he's like, what the black pearl truly is freedom. And I thought about that a lot recently, and I said, that's exactly what Ratlife is. Ratlife is freedom. And I don't see another way. I really don't. I don't see another way to being free forever. And not just me being free, but every single person in my circle and circle of influence. My friends, my lovers, my family, my future kids, my future woman, like every person who I love, free forever. And every person who, in this beautiful garden that I'm building, who is attracted into it, are given the keys to their freedom forever. Because that's what I want with Ratlife. I want to give everyone the key to their escape, to give them the key to freedom forever, and to give them a home. And I think if you can have those three, there's no greater pursuit in your life, if I have one to live, than in the pursuit of freedom forever, for me and for every single person that I care about. So Ratlife is my personal legend. And this is something that has started in, we'll say 2013, June 25th, 2013, when I started my fitness journey. That's how long I've been working to escape the rat life. And my rat life has changed in different chapters of my life. And the first time I verbally said rat life was in 2016, my senior year of college. And I see this quest, this noble quest, ending in about 20 years. And so collectively, I'll have been on this journey for about 30 years of my life. And so I think it's very evident that this is what my purpose is. This is what I've been called to do, or what I've been, the gifts that I've been given to give back to others, to the world, is Ratlife. And these are notes from the book. It's what you have always, so what is your personal legend? It's what you have always wanted to accomplish. Everyone when they are young knows what their personal legend is. And it's very interesting. So as you get older, Kanye West said this in a very good video. He was like, when you are a child, you do something, everyone cheers for you and gives you all the applause and all of the, you're doing a great job and all the, support. But he said, but then you step on the coffee table and then you get yelled at and then you get smacked and then you get, shouted and screamed at. And then you naturally get off the coffee table. And what's interesting is the rules and the parameters and the systems and the bullshit that life has. He said, by the time you're an adult, you're 18, 21, whatever, he said, there are thousands of coffee tables in a world who told you this is what you should do, this is what you can't do, this is what you're supposed to do. And that's why it's very important in the tie-in with this book that in the absence of responsibility, in the sense of people telling you what is allowed and what's not, which is bullshit because it's all made up, you have the freedom to think for yourself that life is limitless and you could do anything that you want, whatever makes you happy, so long as you're not hurting anybody else. But all of these motherfuckers throughout your adolescence, throughout the times where you're the most impressionable, where it's conditioned, these limiting beliefs for years, if not for your lifetime, is other people's fears and other people's insecurities and other people's limiting beliefs and other people's bullshit, the projection of their trauma, of their fear, of their fucking cowardice. So in your life, try to find that inner child again, and drugs help with it, I'm not going to lie, because, for example, when you take mushrooms, you get to see the world in the absence of the systems. And it's so beautiful to see the world as it is, not through the lens that you've been conditioned to see the world through this is the alarm clock you need to have, this is the story, the blueprint of how you're supposed to live your life. It's all bullshit made up by other people. And so that's the beauty about this book, The Alchemist, is finding your unique path again and understanding that your journey is meant for you to embark on it. The fucking adventure of a lifetime awaits you. But most people will forfeit it out of fear. It's a shame. To realize one's personal legend, one's destiny, is a person's only obligation. And it's true. The story of the drops of oil in the spoon. So young Santiago goes to this palace, essentially, and the guy is like, go see all of the marvels of my palace. Go see all of it, but do not drop a drop of oil from the spoon that I'll give you to carry. And so he goes about, comes back, and he was so focused on not dropping a single drop of oil from the spoon. And then he's like, well, did you see all the great marvels of my city? Did you see this? Did you see this? And he's like, no, I didn't see any of it. I was so focused on not dropping the oil. And then he said, go back, enjoy all of the marvels that this world has to offer you. Do not drop a drop of oil from the spoon. And so he goes back and he soaks it all in, man. He lives. He gets to see all the scents and all the beauty and all the luxury and all the pleasure and all the euphoria and all the ecstasy. And he comes back in amazement and shares all of the stories of all of the beauty that he got to enjoy and experience and see. And then he said, where's the oil? And then Santiago looks at his spoon and noticed that the oil was gone. And he said, that is the most important lesson. He said, go enjoy all of the marvels this world has to offer, but do not drop the drops of oil from the spoon that you carry. And the message is very simple. Don't forget why you're fucking here in the first place. Enjoy all of it. Enjoy all of the ecstasy, all of the pleasure, all of the euphoria. Dude, it is your life to enjoy to the fullest. But not a fucking second before you remind yourself why you're doing this in the first place. And most people, they get so distracted by the hedonism, by the sexual pleasure, by the drugs, by the festivals, by this, that they lose sight of the target, of the finish line, of the destination, of the purpose. They lose their purpose. They lose sight of their purpose. They start to fucking drift and go astray and get distracted. And then they lower the target after this failure or this, hindrance. But not understanding, this book illustrates it very well, that all of the bad and all of the pain is preparing you for the journey to come. All of the hardship that you're enduring are needed adversity. They're needed struggles to make you stronger, to make you more equipped to handle the future battles to come. Just like a video game, that in order for you to be able to defeat this boss, you need to get this armor and this gear and this skill and this experience to be able to compete here. Alex Ramosi describes it with perfection. He's like, the battles don't get harder. You just get more adept to fight at this level from all of the tragedy, hardship, defeat that you've endured, preparing you for this fight to come, right? So that lesson is so important because I would see people forfeit all the time when I was traveling, that they would just drift. They would have no purpose. They would forget why they're there in the first place. And so you would see them sink into depression quite quickly, because you don't need to be at the destination to be happy, but you need to be on the way. You need to be progressing in some facet of your life. And when you travel, when you're embarking on your journey, such as Santiago did in The Alchemist, and you're not progressing towards it or feel like you're not progressing towards it, then you feel depressed, because your finances will diminish when you travel, your physicality diminishes, your intellectual prowess goes down, you're not reading every single day, you're not, taking classes, you're not leveling up as hard as you could if you were in one place in, monk mode in the grind. And so that happens all the time with people, that they regress in every aspect of their life. Maybe they'll have more sex than they've had before, but their bank accounts, going downwards, their body's going downwards, their relationships are going downwards, their intellect is going downwards. And so they go downwards mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, relationally, financially, all of the leads. So that's the most important thing, is enjoy all of the marvels this world has to offer, but don't forget why you're there in the first place. Don't drop the oil from the spoon. Remember what your purpose is. Stay focused. And it helps when you delete the distractions, man. Remove the social media. Ghost people. I have on that whiteboard, right, the second to last one, so right there, we're going ghost. As in, a lot of people don't even have fucking access to me right now, because I can't have fucking distractions. I need to be focused. I need to be doing this, You understand? Remove the toxic, remove the weeds, remove the garbage. If you're going this way, it's either people are on your team and on your path or they're the fuck out of your life. You don't need to justify, you don't need to rationalize, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone of what you're doing or why you're doing it. So focus on yourself. And it's the most selfless thing you can do, because if you achieve your goal, how many other people's lives become better as a result? Food for thought. The secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never forget the drops of oil on the spoon you carry. And this was really cool. When you want something, all the world conspires to helping you achieve it. Very, very true. And you'll see them as synchronicities, you'll see them as coincidences, but it's life giving you exactly what you say that you want. And just, if you keep knocking on the door, dude, eventually the door will give. And it's about making it to until, right? So I say it starts with belief. So it goes belief, potential, action, results, over time. Belief, potential, action, results, over time, until. Until you break through, until you make it, until you escape your rat life, right? Most people quit before the until. They do the cycle, but then they give up just before the fucking finish line. And the difference between people achieving their destiny, achieving their personal legend, realizing their goals and dreams and visions and ambitions, and the ones who don't are simply the ones who don't give up. The greatest failures are the ones who are the most successful. They failed more than anybody else ever. Like, I've failed so fucking much on my journey within Ratlife. I'll share this with you. I've failed with, first I had tarkhaux.com, and that failed. I was doing personal training, and that failed. I was doing online coaching, and that failed. I was doing Ratlife, then branded Escape, the supplement company, and then that failed. I did theratlife.com. That's no longer. That failed. And we're going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? As in, there is no amount of no. There is no amount of failure. There's no amount of disappointment. There is no amount of letdown or disappointment or heartache or heartbreak that is going to stop me from realizing my goal, from making it to until, from turning my dream, my vision of rat life into a reality. There is none. And so when you're truly indefatigable, then, and you have no quit and you never give up, it's inevitable that you're going to make it. It's inevitable that you're going to escape. It's inevitable that you're going to persevere, as long as you just keep fucking trying. There's a quote by Winston Churchill: success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm from one failure to the next. Period. So don't give up. My unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. Doesn't matter what the fuck I'm doing. As long as I'm indefatigable, I'm a feared opponent, because I'm going to keep getting back up and trying again. As in, you can knock me down, you can fucking beat the shit out of me, you can have it so my heart is going to give out, but until I'm fucking dead, I'm going to keep trying. That's the difference. So, when you want something, all the world conspires in helping you to achieve it. Because life wants you to achieve your personal legend. And that's so beautiful that that's written in this book. I love that so much. When someone makes a decision, I want to repeat that. Life wants you to achieve your personal legend. Life conspires to help you achieve your personal legend, your destiny, your vision, your goal. So don't give up on it, man. What if it worked out? What if you made it? What if you're able to escape? What if you're able to be free forever? What the fuck do you have to lose in the one life that you have? I don't see any loss. I don't see a single thing I have to lose by going for it, man. But do you know what I see? I see a life of freedom forever. For me and every single person I've ever loved. Fuck. If that's not a worthy pursuit, I don't know what is. When someone makes a decision, he is really diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he had never dreamed of when he first made the decision. And that's so true, man. I booked my one-way flight to Europe amidst COVID. I went to Albania because that or Macedonia were the only countries that were open. That turned into a 6-month adventure of a lifetime. So don't live in a state of cowardice, paralysis by analysis, just because of other people's fears, man. You got fucking nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose, man. Go for it. They discovered that the purification of the metals had led to a purification of themselves. And this is regarding the Alchemist. He said that it was a good thing for the boy to clean the crystal pieces so that he could free himself from negative thoughts. The homework assignment for this book is to clean your entire life. Clean your entire house, your entire apartment, your entire car, clean all of it. I, last week, did that deep clean where I did my toilet bowl, my bathtub, the walls of my bathtub, all the carpet, all the vacuuming, all the wet wiping, all of the dishes, all of the trash, everything, every article of clothing and bedding, washed, cleaned, everything. Clean all of it. And you'll find that when everything is clean, you'll have a clear mind. You'll have a clear mind. If there's so much clutter and garbage in your life, it is a direct reflection of the chaos that's in here. Go into somebody's car that looks like shit and there's trash everywhere and ask them if they're calm and at peace here. They're not, right? Your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. So if all of this is chaos, dude, there's inner turmoil. But if all of this is pristine and clean and sharp, you can have calm waters in here. It's the equivalent of if you throw a pebble into a water, right, into a pond, and there's all these ripples, you can't see through it, right? You don't have any clarity. But as soon as the water is calm, you can see through it effortlessly, right? That is the advantage, right, of a calm mind, of serenity. You get peace, you get focus, you get clarity. So, would highly recommend, well, no, I just don't recommend it. That's the fucking homework assignment. Do it or get the hell out of my university. Clean up your entire life. You'll find a purification of yourself and your thoughts. When a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person realize his dream. That was a quote from The Alchemist. When a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person to realize his dream. Which is so fucking cool to know that you're not alone. That the world wants you to win, wants you to make it, because the world, your heart, the universe, the soul of the world, as they call in this book, God, they see everybody quit. They see everybody give up. They want everyone to fucking make it because they know no one does, man. And so I love that idea. It's so beautiful that if you listen to your heart, if you listen to your intuition, if you listen to the insights and and this is, heightened by your clarity that you have up here, by removing the scrolling, by doing all of these actionables that are going to stack, right, in your favor. That when you're not scrolling, when you're not flooded with dopamine, when you're not poisoning yourself with your diet, when you're not living in a shithole in a dump, but you have calm, you have peace, you have serenity, you're standing guard with the doorway of your mind, you've curated your reality of your friends, you've, cleaned up your garden, you've taken the fucking weeds out, and you have the greatest insight and intelligence now where you're actually catching, this insight, this opportunity, this, chance to network or whatever, then you'll see the world trying to help you get exactly where you want to go. And a lot of the times it's going to be in the guise of failure and heartbreak and heartache and tragedy and despair. But if you say, I want this kind of love, and you're in a shitty relationship, this has to die for you to experience this, right? So change the rhetoric to life is happening for me. And if you go into that thing with it always works out in my favor, life is trying to help me get me where I want to go, then hopefully if you're present and cognizant about it, then you should remove taking it personal, one of the tenets from the last book that we read, the circumstance that you're currently enduring. If you know that it's always working in your favor to help you get to where you want to go, then everything that you're enduring isn't coincidence, isn't happenstance, isn't fucking, unluck. This is necessary, right? This is the necessary catalyst, alchemy, that I need to become someone that is capable of getting to here, right? So it allows you to shift your mindset and your perspective. So I love that. When a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help them realize it. They want you, dude. Life, God, your heart, they want you to make it. They want you to have that euphoric love. They want you to fall in love with someone who loves you. They want you to win, right? Because if you win, everyone wins, Rest well tonight as if you are a warrior preparing for combat. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. You've got to find the treasure so that everything you have learned along the way can make sense. And I love that idea so much. And you're going to find in your journey everything what really makes you happy, you already have. There's no place that you have to go to, find happiness. It's made easier, for me when I travel because I'm able to let go completely. And so I'm able to be my favorite self when I'm abroad, not in Southern California amidst the grind. But as one of my good previous mentors told me, once upon a time, it's an inside job. As in, you can decide to let go now. You can decide you're enough now. You can decide you're worthy of love now. That you are enough now. That you're fucking awesome the way you are now. Don't have to go anywhere. And where you are right now, man. I saw this the other day when I was at the gym. There was a woman who embodied every single attribute that I've ever wanted in a person. I think she was married though. At least she told me she was, but she might be trolling. And it's very interesting how you don't have to go anywhere to, you have acres of diamonds right where you are. I don't have to go to a foreign country. And it's interesting how life reveals what it is that you desire the most when you're ready for it to be revealed, kind of a deal. Could be a hippie statement, but I think it's true. So, you must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. Very important. Love never keeps a man from pursuing his vision, his dream, his personal legend, his destiny. Never. Never. If you abandon that pursuit, it's because it wasn't true love. The love that speaks the language of the world. And so it's very important because a lot of people will forfeit their goal and ambition because they feel like that there's a needed compromise for the person that they love, and it's bullshit. As in, the right woman wants you to pursue your vision, your purpose, your goal. The right woman will never tell you to abandon your purpose. That's bullshit. There's an interview by Grant Cardone. He was like, to his now wife, I forget her name, he said, I will give you everything, anything that you have ever wanted. There's only one thing that I will never do. He said, I will not give up on my dream. He said, because if you want me to do that, I would rather be alone. And it's very, very true, dude. The right woman will not only breathe in so much confidence in your ability, they will help you to realize your dream, your vision, and goal. The right woman will take you to places you can never reach on your own. Because they inspire so much courage and so much belief. Not to say that you need to have that to begin with, but there's no greater strength than the confidence and belief and reassurance that a woman could inspire in a man. Wars are fought. The battle for Troy, for Helen, like the white men do conquest. It's all for women at the end of the day. So the right woman can make you feel like a god in this life. And so that's the beauty about the man and woman dynamic. It's the ultimate team, right? So, and vice versa. The right man can make a woman feel so comfortable in her own skin, like a goddess, right? And then it's the best because you bring out the best in her, she brings out the best in you, and then you can conquer the fucking world, right? But the wrong one will guilt you and will be a treacherous snake trying to diverge you from your path, right? That's not true love. That's a snake in the grass. You need to cut off the head, figuratively speaking. So why do we have to listen to our hearts? Wherever your heart is, that's where you'll find your treasure. I love that line. Maktub, it is written. You will never be able to escape from your heart, so it's better to listen to what it has to say, always. It's very true, man. Like, your intuition is pretty strong, but most people, they drown it out of fear, out of doubt, out of fear to take action, out of fear to go up to that person. So if you listen to your heart, as hippie of a statement as that is, it knows best. It knows what you truly want if you're actually honest with yourself. So listen to it, because that's where your heart is telling you to go is probably where you should go, right? And a lot of times it's a place where people are afraid of, but on the other side of your greatest fear, dude, is your treasure, right? The same cavern that you're afraid to walk into bears the treasure that you seek. Before a dream is realized, the soul of the world tests everything that was learned along the way. It does this not because it is evil, but so that we can, in addition to realizing our dreams, master the lessons we've learned as we move toward that dream. I didn't have periods in this because I spoke it, so let me say it again. Before a dream is realized, the soul of the world tests everything that was learned along the way. It does this not because it is evil, but so that we can, in addition to realizing our dreams, master the lessons we've learned as we move toward that dream. That's the point at which most people give up. It's the point at which, as we say in the language of the desert, one dies of thirst just when the palm trees have appeared on the horizon. Every search begins with beginner's luck, and every search ends with the victors being severely tested. And it's that old adage that summarized, it's always darkest before the dawn. So these past few weeks, as I've been, thinking that I'm gonna die, I've wondered if I'm very, very close to getting to the next level because of that exact statement. It's always harder, and you just have to think of it like a video game. It's always the most challenging right before you're about to level up, right before you're about to go and achieve and unlock the next level, right? And so it's very, like right before you're about to, defeat the boss. So, or get to the next level, to level 3, 4, 5, etc. It's the same thing in life. So if you understand that it always gets harder before it gets easier, whether that's a journey that you're embarking on, a business that you're starting, a YouTube channel that you're progressing on, then it should, hopefully, I'm saying this to myself, give you some confidence that you're going in the right direction, right? Because if it wasn't getting harder, then you wouldn't be advancing to the next level. If it was just easy, then there's nothing forcing the level up, right? It's the same with your body, that your body needs a stimulus in order to grow. So if you're not inviting any pain, any resistance, any hardship, then your body has no reason to transform. So it's the same thing in life. If you want to get to the next level, you have to understand that it's going to take defeat. Your current self has to die. You have to become more to achieve more, right? To level up. So understand that. It always gets darkest, right? The failure, the heartbreak, the fucking heart failure, or fear of a heart attack before ecstasy, before paradise, before euphoria. I saw that. I put it on my phone the other sometime. It's still on it somewhere in my notes, and it was like, every man has to go through hell before he reaches his paradise. It's the exact same sentiment. We have what have life simple lessons. I don't know why I wrote that. When you possess a great treasures within you and try to tell others of them, sell them or you believed. What the hell did I write? Oh, seldom. I did this over voice command. So this is one of life's simple lessons. When you possess great treasures within you and try to tell others of them, seldom are you believed. As in, they were stopped by, these tribesmen who were armed, and he was carrying the elixir of life and the philosopher's stone. He said, this one can make it so you're never sick for the rest of your life. This one will turn any metal into gold. And they laughed at him and walked away. And that was the lesson. He said, when you carry great treasures within you and you try to tell others about it, seldom are you believed. And I've always felt that way when embarking on a journey of when I first started the gym, and I was like telling people, no, this is what you do. I promise if you give me your trust, like you'll get in the best shape of your life. But because I didn't have the physical representation of someone who knew what they were talking about, seldom was I believed for the knowledge that I had. And it's the same thing with my intellect and financial literacy. And because I'm not at that monetary level yet, I get that same I'm met with the same thing from other people that you don't know what you're talking about. And so I love that quote. I love that quote of when you have great treasures within you and you try to tell others of them, very seldom, very rarely are you believed. And it's the idea that, it's from Greg Plitt. He said, you have to believe in yourself enough to be the person now that others will remember you for later. And so as long as you believe it, and you believe in yourself and know that the journey that you're embarking on or your ideologies is, grounded in truth and principle, then the circumstances to reflect that will be inevitable. And so what's interesting is, the same people who mock you, who laugh at you, who criticize you, later on will be inspired by you and later on will be asking you for advice. That's the circle. So just know that you're on the right path. So said the alchemist after telling the tribesmen he was carrying the philosopher's stone and the elixir of life, one which would make you never sick, and one which would turn any metal into gold. And then we're almost at the end of my notes. So this is why alchemy exists, so that everyone will search for his treasure, find it, and then want to be better than he was in his former life. That's what alchemists do. They show that when we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. I love that so much. And I thought about that with myself, with my journey, my transformation, removing my social media while I do my prep, just staying focused, removing all of the distractions. And when you do a transformation, I've done this year after year after year, I don't just level up in one category of my life. Like as you get into the best physical shape of your life, you get into the best financial shape of your life, and then you attract by becoming an attractive person, so you get into the best relational shape of your life. Everything compounds and everything stacks. And it's so beautiful and cool that's exactly what alchemy is. As you strive to become better, everything in your life improves. And every aspect of your life improves. And as everything of you gets better and you become more, then you have so much more to give other people. And so it's a beautiful ripple effect. So, because when we love, we always strive to become better than we are. The boy reached through to the soul of the world and saw that it was part of the soul of God. And he saw that the soul of God was his own soul, and that he, a boy, could perform miracles. I read that over and over and over again for myself, and it's so cool when you understand that everything is connected, and just by the power of your thoughts, of being at peace, of being still, of being present, you can reach people from across the world. You can think a thought and send love to someone in thousands of miles away. And to understand that the power of your thoughts create your circumstance and your reality, you have the power of God, like within you, like to create any single life that you want. And I think that's a remarkable fact that we're never taught and we're never told. That it's from Think and Grow Rich, it's from any book that we're going to be discussing. The power of your thoughts are the most powerful things ever. And so, but we're not taught that, because if people knew how powerful their thoughts were, then there would be way more creators in this life of beauty, of achievement, of success, So they don't want you to be free. They don't want you to understand the limitless nature of your power and your potential. Because if you knew that, then you would not accept and tolerate a life of mediocrity, a life of perpetual slavery. You really wouldn't. Because you'd be like, I was meant for so much more than this. And I'm capable of so much more than this. So I would encourage anybody to have the courage to escape the rat life, man. There's no greater pursuit that's more worthy of your time and your 1 minute of your life. No matter what he does, every person on earth plays a central role in the history of the world, and normally he doesn't know it. I thought that was a sad sentiment. It's very true. Every single person on earth plays a central role in the history of the world, and normally he doesn't even know it. And it ties in with, it might be the greatest salesman in the world, I just got it, that we're going to go over, perhaps in this semester. And one of the tenets in that book is to remind yourself that you are one in never again. Not one in a million, not one in a billion, one in never gonna fucking happen again. And people don't understand the greatest gift you have is your uniqueness, your quirkiness, your weirdness, what makes you you, what makes you different from every fucking one else. And so I love that idea that you are vital, critical, dire in the story of the world. But most people, they go their whole life just not understanding the gift that is their uniqueness, and what makes them so special is the fact that they're so unique. And most people forfeit their uniqueness conforming to a bullshit system and dogma and ideology. The fucking rat life. To finish, all things are written by the same hand. Maktub. I wrote it again. Maktub. Love will never keep a man from his personal legend. We said that. It's true. Life really is generous to those who pursue their personal legend. So that's The Alchemist, man. Homework assignment is 2 things. Number 1, clean your entire life. Clean your apartment, clean your house, clean your car, clean all of it, everything you can. The second one is, I want you to remind yourself you are not a victim. I want you to remind yourself you are not a victim. I don't give a fuck what hardship, tragedy, defeat, despair you're going through. It doesn't matter. You're not a victim. I've been through these past 2 weeks, man, thinking I'm gonna die. And it's fascinating how when you don't feel like you're gonna die for a time, how much joy and gratitude and appreciation and ecstasy that you feel in the pockets of, I think I'm okay. And it's very unfortunate that it takes tragedy and it takes, soon death, imminent death, for people to appreciate the gift of life that you have right now. So I would encourage you to do the homework assignments, to read this book. If you've never read this book and it's your first time, this is going to be one of the best books you ever read. One of the best books of this university, hands down. This was a gift, this book, given to me by Amanda, who I met in Croatia. Amazing woman. And she was critical in the sense of, I was about to give up on Ratlife, and I was telling her, and I was justifying and rationalizing. I was like, oh, I'll put it off for a time. This, you know what she told me? She said, I think you should just hang on for just a little longer. She was like, you've already been through the pain of it. She was like, why don't you just, hang on a little bit and just see what happens. That single voice of assurance is the reason that this quest has continued to be embarked on. And when you think about how the world conspires to help you achieving and realizing your goal, your personal legend, your destiny, your vision, was I not guided to her when I was in Croatia? You know what I mean? And it's fascinating how, this is a quote by Steve Jobs, you can't see the how in foresight. You can only, connect the stars in hindsight. And I try to do it proactively. I try to ask myself constantly, why did I need to go through this? How did this happen for me? Why did I need to meet this person? And it's beautiful when you see that I needed to meet this person because I was able to, guide them to the love of their life. Or I needed to meet, go through this heartbreak or tragedy because that made me, strong enough to be able to overcome this. And that's the beauty about the journey that you're on, dude, the journey that you're going to embark on. If you have that courageous pursuit to pursue, is life wants you to win. Life wants you to realize your personal legend. Life conspires, it's conspiring to help you achieve it. If you just follow your intuition, if you just listen to your heart, and if you just never give up, man, if you just follow the credo of Ratlife, the credo of this university, it starts with belief. You need belief to embark, right? You'll get beginner's luck, as they discuss in this book, right? To give you the confidence to keep going, you need that initial momentum because it'll allow you to tap into some of your potential. Not all of it, but enough to elicit some results. So then what does it do? It gives you a greater belief. Did I say that right? No, so you'll take some action. I omitted that part. So start with belief. You'll tap into some of your potential. You'll take some action because of that, and then you'll get some results, and it solidifies your beliefs. Maybe this will work. And then you do another cycle. Maybe it's going to work. Then you do another cycle. I think I'm going in the right direction. Then you go do another cycle. I told you it was going to work, and then you gain momentum. Then you take giant steps, giant strides, massive action, big results, strong belief, tap into way more of your potential. It's an upward cycle until what? Until I escape the rat life. Until I realize my personal legend. And on that note, that is book number 9 of Ratlife University. I hope you guys enjoyed. We are all gonna make it. And the credo to finish is it starts with belief and the courage to pursue. If you take away anything from this book and it's your first time reading it, which I really hope it is because it's so beautiful to read for the first time, you have nothing to lose by going for it ever. Ever. Whether that is a woman that you are pursuing, or telling them how you feel about them, whether it's a relationship that you want to end by being honest with them of what it is that you want in your one life, if it's a job you want to quit, if it's a business you want to start, if it's a country you want to travel to, if it's whatever your vision, personal legend is, which is homework assignment number 3. What is your personal legend? We've said this before in previous lectures. What is your why, right? What's the reason you get out of bed? What is your personal legend, man? What do you feel is your destiny? What do you feel you're called to do? What would you do if money wasn't an issue and you would do it anyway, right? If money wasn't an issue and that was taken care of, how would you spend your time, right? Typically, that's in the direction of what is fulfillment to you, right? And so perhaps that's what your personal legend is. That's what your destiny is. So we're all gonna make it. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue. Book 9 of this noble quest of Ratlife University. And on that note, your 3 homework assignments, which were clean up your entire life, apartment, house, car. What is your personal legend? You are not a victim. Remind yourself that. We're all gonna fucking make it. This is Ratlife University, book number 9, semester 2, lecture 1.